I love finding a really regional dish. I mean, hyper regional, like almond boneless chicken. Now, it's a Chinese American dish that you might find in a few restaurants across the Midwest. I used to eat it in Columbus, Ohio, but it's really popular in Detroit, Michigan. And Christie's here. She's going to tell us all about this great dish and why you should be making it at home.
Almond Boneless Chicken, or ABC,
it's easy to remember,
as it's called. It's got two defining characteristics. First, it has a batter that's unique. It's not as craggy as fried chicken, but it's also not as light and crisp as tempura.
Okay.
It's also distinctive in the way it's served. So it's served over shredded or sliced iceberg lettuce, but it's not a salad.
Right. No, it is. It's totally a salad. You and I are going to fight on that one.
And then the sauce is kind of a chicken broth and soy-based sauce. It's very mild. And the dish is scattered with sliced almonds. So that's what we're making today. And we're going to start with that sauce.
Sounds good.
So I'm starting out with a cup of chicken broth. I'm also adding 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of dry sherry.
It smells like warm.
And 2 teaspoons of hoisin. Also, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt.
Okay.
Just to balance it. So I'm going to bring this to a boil. Now I'm just going to whisk this together. Small saucepan. There's not a lot of sauce here. The sauce is an important part of the dish, but it's not going to blanket the dish.
Right.
While that's heating up, we're going to make our slurry. So I have a tablespoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of cold water. We'll just mix this together. As I said, it's a lightly thickened sauce. So what we're going for is a sauce that clings but isn't really glazy or gloppy.
Gotcha.
So that's all whisked together. We are boiling. So now we'll add the slurry and whisk that in. You really just need to let this come back up to a boil and let it cook until it's thickened slightly, which is just going to take about 30 seconds. So I'm just going to turn off the heat.
Okay.
And we'll cover this, set it aside. We'll keep it warm and stir it occasionally. But now we can get to the meat of the matter. I have 4 6 to 8 ounce boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've already trimmed, and you'll notice that I've already cut 2 in half. We decided that if you're going to put this batter on the chicken, we needed to have a good ratio of coating to meat.
I like it.
And if you keep your chicken really good and cold, it makes it a lot easier to cut them in half. So I'm just going to keep my knife parallel to the board and very carefully cut through these.
You make it look so easy.
Now I'll pat them dry, and I'll salt and pepper these on both sides. And this is an important step that you don't want to miss. The chicken has to be seasoned before we put the batter on. Bridget, you can't have almond boneless chicken without almonds.
That is literally true.
So I have a 1/4 cup of sliced almonds that I toasted earlier in a dry skillet and chopped them up nice and fine.
Okay.
A cup of all-purpose flour and a cup of cornstarch. So equal ratio flour and cornstarch.
Okay.
Some leavener. So this is a teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And then some things to flavor. So I have a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper.
Love that you're continuing the seasoning.
Every component's going to get seasoned. And we'll whisk this all together. Now, we need a liquid to actually create a batter.
Sure.
And we ended up going with one of our favorite standbys for batters, and that's beer.
It's a good standby for everything.
So I have 1 1/4 cups of a lighter flavored beer. So Pilsner, lager is great.
Okay. But you wouldn't want to use something like an IPA that's super hopped because that would come through.
Right.
And it can be very bitter.
Right, or a stout.
Right.
And if you don't want to use beer, that's okay. You can use club soda or you can use plain seltzer, and you'll get the same bubble effect, just not quite as much flavor.
Gotcha.
And then I also have 1 large egg that I've beaten lightly, just to give the batter a little richness.
Nice.
So we don't want to work it too much, just get everything mixed in. That looks good. Now, we need something for that clinging sauce to cling to.
Okay.
So after we dip the chicken in the batter, we're going to dredge it in a little seasoned flour.
I like this.
So I have another cup of all-purpose flour here, and I'm adding a teaspoon of salt. Again, season everything.
Season.
And that's just going to give us a little more crunch. Okay. Now we're going to get dirty. So, 1 piece at a time, we'll dip our seasoned chicken in the batter, let most of the excess drip off. Okay, so we'll do a little shimmy.
It's a very easy way to keep your hands clean.
Now, you'll notice I have a rimmed baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Just going to transfer this over there. So I'm just going to keep dredging these. Meanwhile, I've been heating my oil up. So by the time I'm finished dredging, the oil should be ready to go. Bridget, we are ready to fry.
Music to my ears.
Now my oil's been heating up. It's at 350 degrees. It's about 2 quarts of oil, and you can use vegetable or peanut would be great. The more important thing is that it's 1.5 inches deep.
Gotcha.
So if you have a slightly larger or slightly smaller Dutch oven, you can adjust. 350, we want it to stay at that temperature the whole time. So I'm only gonna fry 4 pieces at a time.
Don't want to overcrowd it. It would lower the oil temperature. You get greasy chicken.
Right. And we wanna keep the temp between 325 and 350 the whole time.
All right. Oh, that's a good sound. I like what you're doing. You're dropping it in away from you.
Well, I've learned some lessons.
That's a painful
Sometimes
one.
the hard way. Now these aren't going to take very long, about 4 minutes total, but I will go in halfway through after 2 minutes and flip them over. With this recipe, the color is golden.
Not super brown.
Not super brown, no. There's a lot of cornstarch in there, and the cornstarch is going to keep it from getting very dark.
Okay.
And it will be fully cooked at 4 minutes.
Yeah, these are very thin.
Yes. I'll just go in and stir it a little bit just to make sure they're not sticking together. Okay, 2 minutes. 2 minutes down.
Nice. So just a little flip.
Just a little flip. I like to use the spider, but if you want to use tongs, that's fine too. All right. 4 of the longest minutes of your life.
I'll say.
I have my rim baking sheet with the wire rack and 3 layers of paper towels to soak up any of that excess oil. See, it's not super dark, it's just a nice golden color, but you can see those craggy bits in the texture. 1 batch down, 1 batch to go.
Okay.
But we need to let the oil come back up to 350 first, and then we'll be ready to platter.
Sounds great.
Bridget, I told you this was not a salad,
It's totally a salad.
but we're gonna start with some iceberg lettuce right now.
Equals salad.
So I have a nice head of iceberg that I think is coming back into vogue.
Oh, so maligned.
I cut it in half, and I'm gonna cut out the core, as you can see. So I'm just gonna cut this crosswise into thin 1/4-inch slices. So it's not totally shredded.
Sure.
But you're not gonna get a big leaf either.
A little fatter than, say, a coleslaw.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That sound is so satisfying, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
It's like crisp and juicy at the same time. We have a nice big platter. This is really just a decorative bed. And you need a big platter for this because it's a pretty cool presentation.
Family style, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right, so now we have all the chicken ready to go. Looks so good. I'm just gonna start cutting this into about 1/2-inch slices. Listen.
Super crispy.
Try to make a nice presentation here. This is the last cutlet, Bridget.
Beautifully done.
Ugh. Now we have the sauce.
Okay.
So that's been waiting patiently for us for a while now, but it's nice and warm. So I just want to get a nice little drizzle over each chicken breast. There's not a ton of sauce here either, so we're not overwhelming the chicken. You still want to taste all those nice flavors. Now we'll sprinkle with some scallions. So I've got 3 scallions that I sliced really thinly on the bias.
That is beautiful.
Okay, now the part that we cannot forget. We've got some more almonds that we have to scatter on the top. So this is another 1/4 cup of toasted sliced almonds that we'll sprinkle over everything to herald our almond boneless chicken. Make sure everybody knows what it is.
That's looking familiar now. A lot better than I'm used to, but really familiar.
So I think we're ready.
I hope so. It looks amazing.
Thank you. Can I serve you some?
Please.
I'm guessing you would like more chicken than iceberg.
I'm going to let you plate for me however you see fit.
All right, moment of truth.
This is great chicken. You get these little touches of flavor that keep popping through, and the texture is amazing. And that glaze, when you get it, it's great.
Right, because it's not a glaze, it's a clingy sauce. I just love the balance of textures. You know, you've got the crisp, juicy iceberg, and then the slight bit of crunch on the outside of the chicken, but it's super moist.
I'm going to hang out with you all the time.
I think we should.
The ABC Club.
Absolutely boneless chicken.
Absolutely boneless chicken. Love it. You're going to want to make it at home too, and it starts with a little bit of prep. Make a sauce and cook with cornstarch until thickened. Then make a batter, dip seasoned chicken cutlets into the batter, and then dredge in more flour. Fry the chicken in 2 batches, slice them, and then serve over shredded iceberg lettuce. Finish it all off with a little bit of that sauce, scallions, and more toasted almonds. So from Cook's Country, the amazing almond boneless chicken. And you can get this recipe and all the recipes from this season, along with tastings, testings, and select episodes on our website, cookscountry.com/TV. Thanks. We're gonna need a bigger plate. Thanks for watching Cook's Country from America's Test Kitchen. So what'd you think?
Leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or just say hi.
Now you can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
Alligator.